Hello, I'm Chris. Welcome to Warrior. This is Cutting Edge. This is brand new, a series on artificial intelligence. We are going to be talking to the most cutting edge leaders in the military services, industry, and academia about AI, its significance, its application, and it's tough to underestimate how quickly it's changing things for the military. Today, we're very fortunate. We're honored. We have both a former Air Force general and a current executive with an innovator. Let's welcome Major General retired Cedric George. So thanks so much, sir. You're the former director of logistics for the United States Air Force. It's amazing to have you.
Hey, Chris, thanks so much for having us today.
Absolutely, sir. And you are also currently the VP of Growth and Strategy for MetroStar, which is an innovative firm that recently is winning awards for applying AI in really innovative ways that are making things more efficient, more effective, and more combat ready for men and women in the Air Force. Please explain this to us, sir.
Well, first of all, I would just say, Chris, one of the things we think very clearly about and often about here at MetroStar is our sons and daughters that are serving in harm's way deserve to have access to the best of breed technology that's shaping innovation across the private sector. It's what fuels us here at MetroStar. So one of the things I'm excited about is we don't do technology for technology's sake. When you mentioned AI, we are all about how do you take AI for operational effects? And it's really important to us because everybody seems to be doing AI nowadays, right? So for us, we're really excited about a capability that we work with maintainers across the Air Force, fuel maintainers, called IRIS. It's the Integrated Respirator Information System. And we're very excited about that. It fuses best of breed hardware, the same first person view technology that you see in the NFL and NASCAR. And it also combines AI that enables for maintainers to be assisted by an AI agent that reduces the work in process and helps the maintainer focus on the things we expect maintainers to do, Chris, which is focus on troubleshooting and fixing that aircraft so we can get it back in the air.
Oh, 10-4. Well, as the director of logistics for the Air Force, you would be all over understanding and explaining what this means for tankers, essentially ensuring that tankers function properly, are maintained properly. Walk us through, sir, this process of how this technology will change that process to help men and women in the Air Force and the combat mission overall.
So, Chris, first of all, let me backtrack just a second to remind folks who don't live in the Air Force. The U.S., our wonderful country, cannot project power. We saw an example of that when stealth bombers took off out of the middle of our country, went nonstop to attack a target in Iran. On the back of all that is this precious tanking capability. They're basically gas tanks in the sky that help you go from one point in the United States all the way to a target overseas and then return back home. All of that tanking in the background. We heard about the bombers, the stealth bombers. We didn't hear about those tankers. Those tankers are the backbone of the U.S. global power projection. Without that ability to put any target at risk anywhere in the world, the U.S. is not on the gold medal platform for having the best DoD, the best defense department in the nation. So I want to just unpack that to make sure people understand it. That said, the KC-135 tanker is an Eisenhower era aircraft that's still flying, and it is a backbone of maintenance in our United States Air Force. The challenge is it's like any old thing, like an old car, or it leaks, and we're getting that mission done on the backs of our wonderful airmen, our sons and daughters. Fuel tank maintenance. I mean, as a guy that did this for a long time, Chris, it is something that is the bane of my existence as a maintainer. Every time an aircraft lands and it goes code 3 broke for fuels, I know I've got a lot of problem. Today, what maintainers are doing is they're crawling into tanks. They're going about 30, 40 feet out on a wing. You can imagine a wing like a KC-135, way out. It's dark, it's dangerous. They're going in there with a flashlight. They've got the only way they can communicate is by pulling on their oxygen hoses or knocking on the side of the aircraft. That's how the maintenance gets done today, and they do that fabulously. They really do. That's not going to work anymore. What our maintainers did, they were watching Monday Night Football, saw Russell Wilson with a first-person view helmet and said, why can't we do that inside our tank? Well, that's what IRIS does. Today, IRIS provides a high-definition video. No more going in there with one hand with a flashlight. That is, we put that on the mask. It's high definition video that's streaming. We give them NASA quality throat mic communication so they can talk while they're actually traversing that wing. We also can stream exactly what that technician sees inside the wing outside to a workstation outside the aircraft. All of that revolutionizes the way tank maintenance has been done. So that's what we're doing. We're actually testing that right at Mildenhall Air Base right now. It's actually being field tested at Mildenhall Air Base in the UK, and we're excited what we're getting in terms of feedback on that platform.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to ask about the NFL. You mentioned Russell Williams, what a cannon that guy has. But how does the first person view of something like an NFL helmet translate into an airman or airwoman in this narrow tunnel? And how might AI be applied? But let's kind of do one step at a time.
Right. So it was a couple of maintainers sitting around watching Monday Night Football that saw Russell Wilson with that first person view. You may remember it, where we could see what he saw in that huddle and looking across at that defensive line. They turned to companies like MetroStar and ActionStreamer and said, "Can you help us do that?" We actually at the time said, "Let's try it." And so that's what innovation is all about. And that's what our fantastic airmen and guardians do. We actually put together a prototype, let them actually work it to make sure we had the right angles. But that actual lighting had to be perfected so it had the right amount of lighting. We also had to make sure the angles were correct so they're not twisting their neck to get the right angle. All that was done. We like to say this was built by maintainers for maintainers. And what you have, which is what this administration wants to do, is the bright marriage between industry and our warriors to make sure we bring the technology that they want as fast as they can get it. So that's what that does. It allows for them to go in. They no longer have one hand on a flashlight. They have both hands free. And then what's really important, because I need to maybe expand that, Chris, today, if they need a tool or they left something outside the tank, they have to knock and somebody will crawl in and go bring it to them. With Iris, they can actually communicate right where they are and actually have somebody join them right where they are in the wing. Let me talk about one other thing was a problem. The amount of rework where a maintainer goes in there, they're fixing a part of the wing, only to find out after they get done, they fixed the wrong area. Right? That no longer happens with Iris. Could you imagine all that work? You do a perfect job, it's just in the wrong place. Right? So no more guessing, no more guesswork. All that guesswork goes away because you can see exactly where they're working. We have a video log, or stream log of what they're seeing. So where does the AI come in? I want to make sure I capture your point. Anytime you're getting live video, that's data. For AI folks, that's all we want. We want the data, and we want to help you make sense of that data. So we take that computer vision data, we turn it into computer vision, and then we actually build an agent that will actually mimic a technician, a 7-level senior, 9-level senior technician. So when that young journeyman or woman is in that aircraft, you have an agent in the ear helping them understand, one, here's what the tech data says. So they're no longer guessing. They have an agent right there helping them, mimicking a senior maintainer. So what does that do? It allows us to reduce the amount of time it takes to certify them on their job, which is exactly what you want, right? We don't want to do 20 months, which is what it takes today, do butts in seat. We have to flight follow them. We have to walk through with them. Now you have an agent that can help them do that on the spot. One more additional benefit. AI is actually, I mentioned this earlier, is actually doing some of what I call the shallow work. It's actually pre-populating forms. It's doing things while that work's happening so that when the technician gets out, the agent's done the vast majority of the paperwork for them already, which maintainers love. I hate getting out of a job and now I got to do 3 hours of paperwork to get my forms correct. Don't want to do that. Let the agent do that shallow work so I can focus on the deep work.
10-4. I love the expert way you're describing the applications of AI, and it calls to mind a couple of key questions, which is, and you mentioned this, advanced AI can look at context. So perhaps it can look at a number of different variables in relation to one another, bounce it off a database, and then perform or deliver that analytics and that input to the maintainer who's going to need the best information to make sure the job is done most efficiently and effectively.
You're exactly right. I want you to imagine this, Chris. Imagine being able to, with an AI agent and a large language model, be able to mimic and have data on every KC-135 tank in the United States inventory, right? And have that information available to a technician to go, oh, you've encountered a leak in this spar on this area. Let me give you the composite of what we've seen across the entire KC-135 flight, 135 mission on the fly, so that you have that. That agent can be working not, and by the way, those agents don't need to sleep like you and I do. They stay up all night. They'll troubleshoot beyond our troubleshooting while we're sleeping. That's the advantage of AI, and I'm going to say it carefully. That's the advantage of operational AI. I don't want some while that's important, I want to be able to take AI and get operational effects because of that. If I can reduce the amount of time it takes to get a job done, increase proficiency, and then thereby increase readiness, then this is exactly what this administration is trying to do.
10-4, 10-4. Well, let me ask you about the reliability question with AI, because you must have a lot of familiarity with this. So much discussion about what they call zero trust. How can we know if an AI system comes across something that's not part of its database, right? You often hear this discussion that an AI system is only effective as its database. Increasingly, it's able to look at a holistic sense of different variables in relation to one another. But how is the AI itself being further assured to improve reliability?
Yeah, I think it's a great call out, and it's the number one thing that most folks are thinking about in this space. You're exactly right. Do you want to make your model really smart and sophisticated and trustworthy? Give it more data so that it continues to learn, right? That's how you do it. So the more data we ingest off of real aircraft from real maintainers, the more trustworthy this agent will be. It's really on a human level, just like we are. The more you and I ingest in terms of books and music and everything we do, the smarter, the more informed we are. Our agents work the same way, right? If we train them right, bad data into an AI agent means bad agent. So we have to continue to ingest real, meaningful mission data coming off a KC-135 aircraft that are in the fleet and protect that, which we will in the environments that we're putting it in, and then you'll have a really good, sophisticated model that just keeps learning.
Excellent, sir. I want to ask you about where things stand in the trajectory or developmental process. But first, I have to ask you about your experience as a general. As a leader in the Air Force, you, of course, are looking at this not just in terms of maintenance and the effectiveness or the ease with which a maintainer can perform their duties, but there's also an operational, a security, a combat impact of this as well. If, as you point out, a tanker can sustain stealth fighters and perform its combat mission without as much risk.
Right. So you're exactly right. As a general officer, having the blessing to have been given the privilege to serve this nation and our great airmen, soldiers, sailors, and Marines as a general officer, I think exactly where you're at, Chris. I simply go, this nation has to have the ability to project power to put targets at risk anywhere on the planet. When we say you are at risk, what we are saying is we're writing a check to go, if you reach out and touch U.S. interests, we will move forward to put you at risk, which we just demonstrated in the Middle East. The way we do that, and this is how I see this with respect to this tanker, the tanker is our insurance policy. It ensures that our aircraft get on station and they stay on station. Without those tankers, it's not possible. There's no way a fighter operating in Indo-PACOM can operate at length without being able to go back and get gas somewhere at altitude. That's coming from one of these tankers, KC-135 or a KC-46 tanker. We have to make sure that when they reach back to the gas station in the sky, they have a fully mission capable aircraft that's ready to go. And how does that happen? It's by a rightful integration of hardware with AI enabled capability that allows for maintainers to get these aircraft off broke status into fixed status and fully mission capable as quickly as they can.
10-4. Well, gosh, I want to be sparing with your time, sir. Major General Cedric George, retired Director of Air Force Logistics, has a unique perspective. Let's ask about MetroStar now and how this technology has evolved and where that stands now in the developmental process. Is it testing? Is it a prototype? When might this be used by the Air Force? And how did MetroStar come up with this?
Yeah, it's really a great call out. As I told you, we always have our eyes and our head on a swivel for where we can meet mission needs with real best of breed industry solutions. And this was one that just was in my sweet spot as a maintainer. Very dangerous, dark, dirty job. Most of those maintainers are doing work, Chris, inside of a fuel tank that's, we call it depuddled, still have fuel in there. It's nasty. They got a respirator on. They're in triple layer to protect their skin. It's when they come out of there, they are generally not in a good mood. So my point is, we want to make the necessary work. We must do fuel maintenance, but I want to make it easier. And so MetroStar, as I mentioned earlier, we are absolutely wedded to how do we bring our sons and daughters the best of breed technology, the same technology that's driving innovation in the private sector. We do that every day. So we met up with Action Streamer as a partner. We saw them doing work in the NFL and also in NASCAR. If you take a look at the pit crews, you see them in there. You can see their, that first person view is sponsored by Action Streamer, our strategic partner. So we married up with them, but what we did is we took their hardware and put our best of breed software and AI enabled that allows for this capability to become reality. Where is it now? It is actually fielded. We're doing field tests at Mildenhall Air Base. We anticipate that we'll be at several U.S. bases here in the near future, though we're in the final throes of locking those down. And you can imagine we're starting with heavy aircraft, but there's not an aircraft or aircraft maintenance operation that cannot benefit from Iris capability. We intend to do this all over the Air Force and then eventually all over the DoD.
Well, sir, this really is my last question, but as an Air Force leader and innovator with MetroStar, you would be all over this. There's also a speed element as well. If there's a major campaign and you have readiness is everything as a logistician or a maintainer and a leader in that area, readiness is kind of everything, right? Well, with this, you're going to have a higher percentage of ready tankers in the event of a major engagement.
You're exactly right. I will tell you, I'm impressed with our Secretary of War, who has put an emphasis on readiness and sustainment. He's exactly right. If we don't drive up readiness and sustainment in the United States Air Force and across this DoD, it's an existential threat to this nation. Let me be clear on that as a general officer. So we have to get this right, and we have to call to arms all innovation firms, all people who are willing to join our soldiers, sailors, airmen, guardians that have real problems, and let's forget about how we make money and really drive down how do we make operational effects as quickly as possible. How do we gain operational effects as quickly as possible? Let me end with this, Chris, because I think it's important. I don't want this to get lost. The real heroes here are our maintainers. They are the ones that literally got sick and tired of being sick and tired of doing maintenance the way we've been doing it in our fuel tanks since, I don't know, about 50, 60 years. They got tired of it. And they were the ones that innovated. And I want to make sure that as I represent them today as a little bit more senior maintainer now, having done my time, 32 years in the United States Air Force, they are the heroes. They are the heroes, and they will continue. They're smart as a whip. They're hard. They're tough as nails, but they find ways to get the job done, even when they don't have the best of breed equipment. We're going to bring Iris to them, and it is something that I am absolutely, if you can't tell, passionate about. We're going to be Iris, and whatever we can do to make sure our sons and daughters don't have to get the mission done in the next conflict on their backs.
10-4, sir. A lot of the people I admire the most, like yourself, senior generals and those experienced, will tell you the number one thing in combat, it's often the unsung heroes: logistics, maintenance, readiness. That's really the kind of variable that determines outcomes, isn't it, sir?
It is. You're exactly right, Chris. You're talking like a logistician. I got to get you your badge. You're exactly right. We see full hand when you don't have logistics and sustainment top of mind. As you look at some of the conflicts, enduring conflicts today, with Ukraine and the Russian forces, you better keep sustainment at the top of mind. We've learned this in our own history painfully. So as a senior logistician, you're exactly right, and I got to make sure I get you a badge as soon as I see it next in person.
Well, thank you, sir. Major General Cedric George, a former two-star in the Air Force in charge of logistics, and congratulations on your service, sir. Thank you for your service, and congrats to MetroStar, who's on the cutting edge of AI. We appreciate you staying with this series. Stay with us. We'll bring you people like Major General George all the time. Thank you.
Thanks.